Don't mind the kind of chaotic background, but today we're just gonna jump right into it and get talking about. It's a game that's a little older. I mean, most people probably, have already played it or anything, but I still just wanted to talk about it. We're going to get right into talking about Detroit Become Human. So let's get started with the story.
Easy to miss, and they will change things slightly. Like for instance, just as an example, in the first scene with Kara, I did a lot more exploring.
So the story, how it goes is there's three like intersecting androids. Their stories, end up combining, but the basis essentially is that these androids are kind of starting to try to do an uprising for like android rights, because you have the one who's a detective, so he's doing his detective work, figuring out why these androids are murdering their owners, humans, whatever. You have the other android, who she's trying to escape with the little girl she's taking care of, because the little girl's dad is rather ABU, if you know what I mean. Um, and then you have the third android who his owner was killed by the guy's actual son, and the son blamed it on the android. So that android is the one in particular who's trying to really start up the uprising, you could say. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the gameplay.
Each playthrough can be so different just because of things you found, options you picked in dialogue, or things you didn't find. It just So the gameplay, it's pretty straightforward. It's you just kind of wander around and you will try to find items that, of course, once you're close enough, they'll highlight up or show up in some way that it's an object of interest. So it's kind of, you could say maybe like open world exploration would be the closest, but of course, it's not really that. It's objects that some of them can be very easy to miss, and they will change things slightly. Like for instance, just as an example, in the first scene with Kara, I did a lot more exploring than he did. He thought he explored pretty thoroughly, but he didn't. So there were a lot of like extra chores and some extra dialogue and stuff I found that I did. And so it presented different options for us and how to handle what was going to be the next puzzle, which that's also another thing with this game is it definitely has a lot of the puzzles will have multiple ways to solve them, such as one just going back with Kara. In when you run away, there's three different places you can find shelter for the night, and they all have at least a little bit effect on the story and how it will play out and how the characters feel about each other. And there will even be certain like choices and paths will be locked off to you unless you found a particular item or got through a particular piece of dialogue or something. So it really does give it a lot of replay value because each playthrough can be so different just because of things you found, options you picked in dialogue, or things you didn't find. It definitely makes for the story feels at least somewhat fresh every time you go through. Of course, there's not really any combat, so any kind of combat or even like chase scenes or big moments, they'll come in the form of quick time events, and depending on what difficulty you're playing on, I played on an easier difficulty than my husband. So all my quick time events were, just button prompts, whereas he would have some that he had to move the joystick in a certain way. So that's just also something to keep in mind between the difficulty levels is some of that, even stuff that I would have never have known about because I don't know if I would have played it on a different difficulty. That stuff does change. So that is just something to keep in mind. And of course, in my opinion, I think the game, it still looks really good. I played it, obviously it was a PS4 copy, but I played it on the PS5. I think it still holds up graphically very well, like all the voice acting, it was done great. The gameplay, I think it works pretty smooth. Yeah, sometimes it can feel like your character is moving a little clunky, but it's not the end of the world. The game, it still runs perfectly smooth, all the button prompts and everything. And of course, none of the puzzles are too confusing that you would get stuck for forever. But anyway, let's move on to my thoughts and opinions.
So, honestly, I really enjoyed this game. Like, it's obviously very narrative, story driven, and that's really the kind of game I like. Your choices, like, obviously, there's a limited number of choices you can make, but they do really make a difference. There are quite a few endings and just different paths you can take to doing things, so it definitely has replay value in that regard as well, which is always a good thing. And honestly, so it's a PS3, yeah, but I was playing it on the PS5 and it still looks pretty good. In my opinion, the graphics hold up nicely. It's still a good looking game. I had no problems with that. I love the fact that it really does feel like there is impact in your choices, because it can be very hard to do that when it comes to a video game, because obviously, games and even books, they have to reach a conclusion of some kind, and you can only have so many different conclusions. So I honestly think Detroit Become Human did it really well with all of your choices changing so much. They'll change different things, like I said, there's separate endings and everything, so I honestly think it did it very well. The characters, so it's been a minute since I played, so I just don't remember all the names necessarily. It's not that they're forgettable or anything, but I'm bad with names, and been playing so many games since where they're just name dropping all the time. But I really do like all the characters. Like, the voice acting was all done really well. You can tell the difference between the androids and the humans, and it really is an interesting concept with the AI, because a lot of the times people talk about, oh, it's the doom and gloom, it's the bad with the androids and everything, which very well could be potential, but it's also nice to see this game give you a chance to have a happy one. Because I'm gonna give spoiler warning here now, just in case you haven't played it. I'm gonna go over some of the endings, but so if you haven't played it, go play it, go watch someone play it, and then check back in. But there are a few endings, because there are endings where all three of the androids can live, a few of them can die, like Kara. In my particular playthrough, I was a little dumb. I got Kara killed. But yeah, it is how it is. Connor made it through. So I had it set up, and I wasn't even trying to, but Connor was kind of starting to go a little down the evil path. He was like going against Marcus a little at the end, the way the confrontation went. He was kind of ready to take out Marcus and go kind of evil, but I managed to, swing it back around. But that is the really cool thing, is the resistance. It goes on whether or not you kill Marcus, because if you kill Marcus with Connor, then Connor just carries it on, and you can still choose to, do things peacefully, or do a hostile takeover. And obviously with Marcus, you get the same thing. You can do a peaceful, we're just going to do a demonstration, we're going to get everybody on our side, which, it's basically like the pacifist run. That's what I went with, was, the pacifist. And how I play games that have choices like this, like Until Dawn, Detroit Become Human, Wolf Among Us, I always play them first and just go with whatever choice, and then I'll look up later to see, what different endings and how you get them and what difference the choices make, just because when it comes to these games that have these choices, I always like to just organically do what I would do and see where it ends up going, because it can have interesting results, like in The Walking Dead, for instance. And even, like I said, with Detroit Become Human, I was unintentionally making Connor follow a little on the evil side, but like I said, I was able to bring it back around, so it's all good. But honestly, this game, if you still haven't played it, because I know it took me a while to play it. I only just played it last year, and this game has been out for how long? But I personally highly recommend it. I still think it's a really good game. There are talks, I guess, kind of maybe rumored about Has Detroit Become Human 2? I think that's only people wanting it, but thankfully the developer and like the director of it, he said he doesn't want to make another, like he doesn't want to make a sequel unless there is another story to tell. And honestly, I don't know how well that would work with this game. I feel like Detroit Become Human is one of those, it's better as a standalone. And, you know, you can just make your own interpretation about what's canon, which is the real ending. Because I don't believe there's any canon ending or anything, especially since there is no sequel. And honestly, I feel that's what's best for this game. Definitely should be a standalone. I like games in that similar style. Like, I haven't played Heavy Rain yet, but I really want to. But, you know, Until Dawn, I almost said Until Dead. Until Dawn, Walking Dead, well, basically all the Telltale games. Even Catherine by Atlas has aspect of like choice. I really like those games, and I don't want the market obviously to become oversaturated with them, but I definitely love when they come out, because it seems like the people who do them usually do, you know, they really like it and they really get into the story with it. So honestly, like I said, if you still haven't played Detroit Become Human, definitely play it just because it's, you know, a little older. It's definitely still worth the time. I'm honestly going to give this game an 8 out of 10. But anyway, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below, maybe, you know, some of the choices you made, what happened, what ending you got. That could be a fun time. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. You don't have to. That helps let me know what y'all like watching. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I upload every Friday. For now, my Twitch streaming schedule, it's a little weird just because of the situation we're in, so it's going to be Tuesday through Friday, starting about 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, I have that linked below with the schedule updated, my Twitter, Instagram, second channel, Discord. They're all linked down below as well if you want to keep up. I'm usually pretty active on Twitter and Instagram, I would say. So yeah, but anyway, I will see you all in the next one. Have a great day.